Hey everybody, Robert Cook here again. So we've already covered story conception, characters, 3-act, 4-act, and hero's journey, and now we were finally at the revision methods. As a writer, what are the big things that we hate to do? Well, for me, there's only two things. Number one is staring at a blank page, and number two, revising my first draft. If you go back to our conception and character creation and 3-act, 4-act, and hero's journey, you won't be staring at a blank page for very long. Now, if you're at this video, I'm assuming you've already at least started writing your screenplay. And if you haven't, that's fine. If you're just trying to make it through the video series to get all the info you can before you start writing, that's fine too. But I'm going to be addressing people as like the script is done, at least the first draft. So let's get started. When it comes to revision methods, I like to use 6 passes. What I mean by passes is a different revision. It's kind of a rule of thumb that every screenplay needs at least 6 passes before it's comfortable with being a shooting script. And depending on what writing software you use, they will even color code your revisions for you, so you don't have to worry about printing, writing revision 1, printing, writing revision 2. You don't have to worry about that. When it comes to actual revision methods, these are the methods I use to polish out my scripts and get them ready for production. Revision 1, I always make sure that I am completely clear-headed, and then I go through the script and I only focus on the story. Whenever I do my first pass, it is only focused on the story. I'm checking to make sure all my plot points are lined up correctly. I'm checking to make sure all my action beats fit correctly. And if I'm writing a horror, I always try to make sure my scary beats are on correctly. And I go through the entire screenplay and I just make sure that the story flows. I don't even check for pacing. I don't check at characters. I don't check at dialogue. All those are part of different passes. So the first pass is all strictly focused on the story. So my second pass, I'm focusing on my characters. How do my characters react to certain situations? And does that fit with their profile? If I have a character who is low in self-esteem and neurotic, if I have them jumping for joy because they just won a competitive event, that doesn't fit in with the character profile. Unless throughout the story, I've grown the character to that point. But I always make sure to check to see, when it comes to characters, I always check to see if there's 1 or 2 things that they meet. And those 1 or 2 things are, how do they react to certain obstacles that I've put them through, and does that match up with their profile? And how does their personality fit throughout the film when it comes to their profile? The third pass is all about the dialogue. So one big thing that all new writers make a mistake with, and we've all made the same mistake, and if you tell me you didn't, I know you're lying, because we've all done it. As a brand new writer, one of the biggest things that we always fall into the trap of when it comes to writing dialogue is essentially writing how we speak it. We know how we talk, and that's always what first comes out onto paper. So when it comes to dialogue, when it comes to the third pass and I'm working on my dialogue, I'm always reading the dialogue, and what I'll do is I'll recite the dialogue to myself. If it sounds like I'm talking to myself, if I'm having a conversation with myself, then I know there's something wrong and I need to go back and change up some of the dialogue. This is also where your character profile comes in handy, because through your character profile you could kind of guesstimate through their psychology and their backstory and what are their traits. Remember the traits that we talked about? What are their traits? And how would that lead to them speaking? How would they talk if they've had these experiences, or if they grew up in this specific culture? And I will take that and I will use that as kind of a reference guide as to how they speak. Revision number 4 is pacing. So now when we get into pacing, now we're kind of at a point to where we have to have other people look at our material, okay? Whenever you get to the pacing revision or the pacing pass, at this point you need to have another colleague, somebody else in the industry, preferably somebody who knows how to write, read over your script and tell you, okay, does the pacing work or does it not? If you try to give it to friends and family, your friends and family are just going to tell you what you want to hear. And that's not at fault of their own. They're just friends and family and trying to be nice. But you don't need that right now. You need somebody who's objectively going to read your script and tell you, okay, hey, your pacing is great up until page 40, but then you start to drag and then you dole it out and it doesn't pick back up until page 80. That's what pacing is going to cover. Give your screenplay, give your drafted screenplay over to a, like, preferably another writer. If not, then at least somebody else in the industry who can objectively read and tell you if your pacing works or not. The fifth pass is all about the tone. So whenever you're getting ready to write your screenplay, you should always either have a theme written on paper or a message or theme in mind whenever you're writing. What is the theme of the movie? What is the message you're trying to send out to the world? What I do, and I like to call this a requirement because a message is very, very important when it comes to a film, is I will go page by page, and after I read a page, I will look at whatever I wrote down as the theme of this movie, and I will ask myself, okay, does this page match this theme? Does the story up to this point match this theme? Am I sending the message I want to send from this point backward? And I will do that after each page turn. Now, the sixth and final revision is the proofreading general revision. Just spell checking, grammar checking, and kind of touching up here and there all the different revisions that you've worked on so far. After you've done your final revision, your sixth revision, it's not even your final revision, but your sixth revision, your next step is to find, this is definitely a requirement, find somebody in the industry to read your script, either a producer or a fellow writer. Have them read your script and let them give you notes on it. You use those notes to go back and touch up those different passes. So if somebody gives you notes on your character or characters, you go back to the second revision and you touch up your characters and you later import that into the final revision. And you do that until you cleared all your notes, and then you resend it to the same person, have them read it. If they like what you did, if they felt like you listened to their notes up to the point to where the story is decent enough, that's great. Send it to a different person, just one more, but a different person to reread it again. And if you get notes from them stating the exact opposite of what the other person sent, then meet in the middle somewhere. And then after that, you're done with the revision process, and congratulations, you have a screenplay that is ready for production. So guys and gals and everybody else in the world, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. We're moving around really, really fast here. We're still working on our screenplays, and before you know it, we're gonna have them all done. With everything that I've said so far, please leave a comment and tell me your revision methods. How do you revise your screenplays? I would love to add some more tools to my toolbox, and if I gave you more tools for yours, I hope you please subscribe to the channel, please like this video, please share it out to your fellow writing friends, and until then, I hope you're doing all right. I can't wait to see y'all next time. Later.